EA Sports. It's in the game. Or should I say, it's in the pay. Yeah, okay, terrible pun aside, EA is being acquired by 3 entities for $52.5 billion, Jesus! And it's in a move that would move and transition EA from being a public company to a private one. This is a massive shakeup for one of gaming's biggest and most notorious publishers. So what's going on, and what does the future look like? Hello, everybody. I am Jmulls, and it's time to game. In an article updated on September 29, 2025, the Associated Press reported, to quote, Electronic Arts, the maker of video games like Madden NFL, Battlefield, and The Sims, is being acquired by an investor group including Saudi Arabia's Sovereign Wealth Fund in the largest private equity-funded buyout in history. The investors, who also include a firm managed by Jared Kushner, President Donald Trump's son-in-law, and the private equity firm Silver Lake Partners, valued the deal $55 billion. EA stockholders will receive $210 per share. Now, the article does note that this deal isn't finalized yet. To quote again, the deal needs approval from national security regulators on the Committee on Foreign Investment, given that the Saudis are involved, but there are plenty of reasons to expect it will go through. You know, this article has a lot of, grammatical inaccuracies, but there are plenty of reason. Now, it's not as if this acquisition is going to radically shift things up for Electronic Arts. There will be some normalcy here. To quote the article again, CEO Andrew Wilson has led the company since 2013, and he will remain in that role. Electronic Arts would be taken private, and its headquarters would remain in Redwood City, California. So Andrew Wilson remains as the CEO, and the headquarters remains in its current location in California. Well, what would this deal actually do for EA? Returning to the article, by going private, EA will be able to retool operations without worrying about market reactions. Although its video games still have a firm following, EA's annual revenues have been stagnant during the past 3 fiscal years, hovering from $7.4 billion to $7.6 billion. Exactly, since it would no longer be a publicly traded company, it wouldn't have to do a whole bunch of reports to shareholders all the time. A lot of publicly traded companies, especially those in the video game sector, will do things and make decisions that don't sound as if they're rooted in any kind of actual logic if you're approaching it from a consumer standpoint, but they're grounded in the idea of trying to bolster their numbers so their next report to their shareholders looks favorable. If this deal does go through and EA becomes a private company, well, they wouldn't have to do that anymore. Now, it is important to note that this deal isn't finalized yet, and the final words of the article bolster this. The deal is expected to close in the first quarter of fiscal 2027, it still needs approval from EA shareholders. And while yeah, technically anything can happen between now and then, even so, this is a massively radical move for one of gaming's biggest publishers. We are seeing a lot of different reactions to this deal going on right now, and there's a lot of concern and worry about the future direction and state of EA. I personally fall in the camp of, we'll see what happens. I don't think anything is necessarily set in stone in terms of what direction EA is going to take as a company going forward, in terms of the content that's going to be in their games, in terms of the monetization policies these games are going to have. I don't think EA overnight is going to somehow strip away all of these egregious monetization policies or anything like that. I don't believe that stuff for a nanosecond, right? I don't know how verifiable it is, but I also have seen, just on Twitter, so take it with a grain of salt, that the people buying EA are doing it by borrowing money, so EA would have to find a way to recoup that cost. And it's like, if that's the case, we're going to see some egregious things out of EA to find ways to scrounge up every penny and search every couch cushion to be able to pay that back. Again, I don't know how verifiable that is or anything, but even if it's not the case, EA finding new ways to generate money for the people that just bought them wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. It's still a company at the end of the day, whether it's private or public. I wouldn't personally say this could possibly ruin EA because, like, what's left to ruin? Every now and then EA can put out something that reminds you how EA got to be this big to begin with. Something like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, for instance, or Titanfall 2 once upon a time, or even the upcoming Battlefield 6. It's like they have the capability to still put out games that look rather interesting, and to publish these games that can generate a lot of excitement because of the quality of the gaming experience they are seemingly providing, like Battlefield 6. And then you can be someone on the RPG side of things and be like, oh, cool, last game I really cared about from EA was Dragon Age the Veil God, and that game was terrible. Are there ways for EA to become a worse company? Yeah, there's always a way. Do I really see it, like, moving the needle for my interest in EA and its titles moving forward? If they do go in a negative direction, nope, not particularly, because I don't have any excitement or interest in them as a company right now. Outside of, like, maybe Battlefield 6, but even then, multiplayer FPS games just aren't really my thing right now, though I can look at that game and say, you know what, that looks like a pretty dang good game. But it's EA, they're always liable to mess something up. And perhaps it could be the situation where, hey, no longer having to report to shareholders all the freaking time and having to find short-term ways to generate short-term growth and production at the cost of long-term vision, maybe that could lead to better games coming out of the developers under EA. Like, maybe that is possible. I would still say I think this whole situation warrants skepticism, but I would say there is a possibility that could also become the reality. When it concerns what I think's going to happen with EA going forward, I feel the obvious play, because it's just a modern tech company. As much as it's kind of disappointing and sad and depressing, there's almost certainly going to be layoffs. Now, I'm not going to be someone that says all layoffs are inherently bad or anything. Sometimes they're just people that need to be let go, people that are underperforming for whatever reason. But I also think it's absolutely fair to say a lot of the jobs that have been almost certainly cut over the last couple of years, this is not just an EA thing, this is a video game and tech thing overall. A lot of those jobs were almost certainly cut with the primary goal of cutting costs to make future reports to shareholders look better, which is again going back to what I was just talking about before, where that's a very short-term thing, where you are just trying to bolster your numbers in the short term, which may come back to bite you in the long term and have a knock-on effect of disrupting workflows, ideas, and the overall creative process for future games that are coming down the line. I wouldn't say, though, that I'm overall pessimistic or optimistic about EA going forward. They have been largely nothing burgers for me for a while at this point, and if they somehow got worse, that wouldn't really change for me. I would still love to see games like Battlefront 3. I would still love to see something like Titanfall 3 actually materialize. Do I think this deal makes it more or less likely to happen? I'm not sure. It didn't seem like it was ever going to happen under EA as a publicly traded company, so maybe now at least the odds are changing and shifting from 0% to at least like 0.001%. Also, let's not operate under any illusions here. This deal almost certainly happened because they wanted EA's sports division, because that is the big moneymaker. The other RPGs, the other games, drops in the proverbial ocean compared to the sports division, which, if you've been following the news over the last couple of years, has been kind of doing bleh. So we'll see what changes, if any, they actually make going forward, if and when this deal is finalized, to try and get those big money-making divisions on the up and up. The soon-to-be next big release for EA is almost certainly going to be Battlefield 6. Like, that game is going to do big. There's a lot of hype and a lot of publicity for a game like that, and it seems like the stars have aligned, which happens every now and then for EA, and they actually put out a good video game. I would be surprised if that game isn't a big success for them. I would just recommend caution against any specific interpretation of what's going to happen here. I don't think it necessarily means EA is going to be censored across the board simply because one of the groups acquiring EA is Saudi Arabia, or at least their sovereign wealth fund. Maybe it ends up being the case, but we have to wait and see. I would not recommend optimism or really pessimism right now. If I was to lean towards one of them, though, it would be pessimism. EA is firmly on the side of, I have to wait and see it to believe it, if they're actually going to make any changes for the better for the company, or not even just for the company, for consumers, for people that just want to play good games. EA is just one giant question mark right now. But here's where you come in. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts, your reactions to this acquisition. Do you think it's going to go through? Do you think EA is going to become somehow even worse or somehow better than what they currently are? I'd love to hear your thoughts and hear your opinions and hear your perspectives. And while you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. And guys, I'm smelling savings, I'm smelling money. I must be EA. But there's a big Steam sale going on for autumn 2025, and if you want my picks, the games I say you should keep an eye out for at this Steam autumn sale, you should check out this video right here for more. Stay safe, everybody, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye, everybody, until we meet again!